tell you my speed review drawer in front of me was busting at the seams, I knew I needed to get one out here so I could clear out that drawer. If you don't know how it works for my speed reviews, every single product that I try for the first time, it gets put in this drawer in front of me, and it stays in this drawer until I've tested it multiple times, multiple wears with multiple products, and I'm able to give you my final review on these products. And sometimes, depending on the season, the drawer will just build up and overflow, and I needed to release her a bit, give her a little bit of air because there's been a lot of new launches for 2025. So I've pulled out the products that I'm ready to give my final review on, and then these will then get transported over to my main makeup collection with the general population. So this is one of the most important videos to me on my channel, because one thing that I swear by is if you see me talk about it once, I will talk about it again in a speed reviews video. So let's go ahead and get into it. I have 27 items that I'm going to be sharing with you today. So we're going to start off with Complexion. So the first primer that I've been testing here is the Face Glue Gripping Primer from NYX, which concerningly, is that a word? I don't know, but it's concerning how close this is to actual glue. Obviously, that's what they were going for with the packaging, but it comes out like white milk, also like glue. Now, it's not the stickiest, grippiest primer I've ever used. If you use the Milk Makeup, that one's going to be grippier. This one has a nice subtle grip, so if you like to apply your makeup with the grip, you gotta work fast, because when the grip's gone, it's kind of gone, which in my opinion kind of defeats the purpose. It's a more subtle, grippy primer. I think it has a nice hydration down as well. I've never really been a huge fan of grippy primers. I feel like it's harder to blend makeup over top. So this, I think, is a really nice compromise. But if you're oily, I don't know how well the grip is going to help you with your wear, because it's not very strong. But for more dry skin, I do like this. CoverGirl launched a whole line of primers. There are two that I focused on for my skin type. So the first one is the Plump Plush. It almost has a serum-y feel. It's very lightweight. It's very hydrating. It's the perfect pre-makeup primer. So if you've already done your skincare routine and it's been a couple of hours, this is really great just to kind of give that extra shot of hydration back to the skin. It's on the lighter side. Now, if you hadn't done your skincare routine for the day, this is not going to cut it as your moisturizer. But just as a little pump of hydration, this is really nice. I think the drugstore has some really good hydrating options when it comes to bases, and this is another good one. So thank you, CoverGirl, for that. The other one that I've been testing is the Velvet Blur Pore Erasing Primer from CoverGirl. So this one, I actively see it blurring the pores on my bare skin. But when it comes time to put product on top, I can't tell the difference between one side to the other. So I'll put this on one side, and then I'll put foundation over. And I don't really think it does much in the way of blurring pores, if I'm being honest, once foundation is on top. It definitely does something with blurring with nothing else on top. So it's really good for if you use really light coverage, if you just use concealer. But for like a full beat foundation, this won't make much of a difference. I've also been using the Dibs Love Beam Perfector. So this is kind of a play on the Charlotte Tilbury. What is it called again? Why am I blanking? It's one of the most popular products. The Charlotte Tilbury glowy one. So this is much lighter, less coverage. It actually leaves a really pretty glow that you don't really need to put makeup over top of, but it is more on the subtle side. So when mixed into foundations, I can't really tell a difference. When put on top of foundation, super duper subtle. For me, I just like this as an all over base glow with lighter makeup over top. It does feel nice and hydrating on the skin, but I think that this is almost more so appropriate for the body. Now, I have the shade The One, which is this lilac-y shade, which just doesn't match my skin tone very well, but if you're fair and cool-toned, I think you'll like this. Number 2, Loves Me Not, has been the shade that I like for myself. It has a little bit more of a rosier undertone. The coverage on it, it's really sheer, but you can see a little bit of that color lay down, especially once the light hits. So I just like this for all over the skin. That's how I'm choosing to use it, or on the body. I think it's nice. I only have like one base coverage product. It's from Iris and Romeo, and it's the Best Skin Days 5-in-1 Skincare Dewy Coverage with SPF 30. I'd say this is kind of like a skin tint here. It's in a pot. It definitely gives light coverage, but just enough to even everything out. And I think it's pretty. I think it wears decently. It doesn't feel the most lightest weight for the amount of coverage that you get with this, and I think that's due to it being really skincare involved, and it is very hydrating on the skin, but due to that, it just feels heavier than what I prefer. I would prefer a skin tint or tinted moisturizer with a little less thickness and actual skincare to it, because I have my skincare routine covered, but it does a good job at evening everything out. Like, would you believe that I use something so light coverage on the face? Because it definitely just made the skin look better, but I do feel it slightly sits on top of the skin, so it really needs worked in. It's an okay product, but like if we were walking into a store and you asked if you should get this, I probably wouldn't say that it's necessary. I'd point you in the direction of other products. So I like it. I don't love it. If I were to ever finish it, I wouldn't repurchase it. I also have a pot concealer from RMS Beauty, which I would say definitely known for good quality here. This is the Uncover Up Corrector. So I don't recommend this for the under eyes. It is a pot concealer. Typically, I don't prefer a pot concealer on the under eyes. It just looks a little dry and heavy. It gets the job done on the under eyes though. Like, it's not terrible. Since I didn't have another new concealer to put in today's video, I did put this under my eyes and it gets the job done. I just have others that I prefer. But for spot concealing, I really like this because it has a little bit of tackiness to it, which I think helps maintain the coverage. So you know how with some concealers you'll put it on over a zit, and then once you put foundation over top and powder and all of your other face products, the zit is out and about again. That doesn't really happen with this because it does stick on the product, but it also is really great to put on after the coverage, after the bronzer and blush, and it will stick onto it because of its stickier texture. So this for me is more for spot concealing than it is the under eyes, though you can use it. So I definitely like this one as well. But it's good. Like, I still would reach for my NARS pot concealer over this one, but I'm not mad to have it. Now, liquid bronzers. So the first one that I have, I guess it's more of like a liquid bronzing drop situation from Milani, from their Conceal and Perfect line. And I have to say, I think this is my favorite bronzing drop from the drugstore, which bronzing drops are not my cup of tea, but the curiosity kills the cat here because I always want to test them just out of curiosity. And I like this because there's really not a fleck of glimmer in here. Now the shade medium is very, very warm. It is a bronzing drop after all. What I like these for is mixing into foundations just to darken the tone a little bit. And it doesn't really change the formulation or finish of the foundation. Maybe a little bit depending on how much you put. But if you just put a few drops just for a subtle adjustment of color, this is great for changing the foundation color, but I've actually also been using it almost as a liquid bronzer. Now, it's a bronzer, not a contour. It's very warm, but it's very thin. This is definitely one of my favorites from the drugstore. Not a style of product that I reach for on the daily, but just in the family of the style of product, really nice. I also have been using the Camo Liquid Bronzer and Contours from e.l.f. If you're around my skin tone, Fair is really nice as a contour, particularly on the nose. And then this has a little bit of green to it, the light shade, but it does give more of a bronzy kind of look. These are thicker in formulation, I would say. They take a little bit more elbow grease to blend out, and not difficult to blend out by any means, but it's just a thicker consistency. It has a decent amount of coverage as well, especially comparing to the coverage that I got from the Milani. I think these are really nice. Be careful, use a light hand because they do have a lot of pigment, but they apply so evenly and beautiful on the skin. I think these are a very, very nice formula. Particularly, I think the price point is amazing for what you get, so I like these a lot. Now, as it seems in 2025, we are not getting away from blushes anytime soon. I have quite a few formulas that I actually tried back in 2024 right now, but there was just so much to try that these kind of sat in the drawer for a bit. But I have to say, these right here are pretty incredible from an indie brand. Laminatrix Cosmetics. These are the cheek and lip flush. They're nice on the lips because they have so much pigment, but I actually prefer these for the cheeks. Something about the way that these just blend into the foundation with ease. Now, they do lose some opacity once blended out, but I think that gives a really subtle, pretty effect on the cheek. And if you do use the deeper shades, obviously you're going to get more pigment. But the finish of this is really plush, is how I would describe it. It has that plush, velvety blend and finish into the skin. This is such an underrated product, and I think that's just due to the fact that it's an indie brand. But if this hit the mainstream market in Sephora, I think that these would go viral. I truly do. They're awesome. And then another super awesome formula that I've talked about for months. I don't know why it never exited the speed reviews drawer. I think it's just because I enjoyed using them on the daily. It's these Plump Shot Collagen Peptides Advanced Plumping Blushes from Buxom. And these have a really creamy, not quite wet, but very creamy consistency to them, but they blend out super easily and they almost dry down like velvet, and they have the most even application ever. I don't know how, but this never looks patchy. As soon as I blend it out, it just looks one with the skin. Looks like I blended it out for 10 hours. It was that beautifully blended. So these are actually one of my favorite products ever from Buxom. I think this formulation for being a cream blush is extremely unique, which is extremely hard to do in the current market, but they came out with such a unique, gorgeous, easy to apply, foolproof blush formulation. Highly recommend. And then I also have these from the MAC Holiday Collection. They sent these over. I believe there's more, but I wanted to give them a try because these are metallic cream blushes, which was the finish, the theme of the holiday collection here. And they had some really unique tones, which is what piqued my interest. I first wanted to try Glowing Treasure, which honestly, it's kind of just like a bronzer shade. I wasn't very impressed with this. And typically, I'm not a cream, like metallic blush kind of person, but these are decent. They're a decent formulation. They're not making their mark in my mind, though, I've got to be honest. I don't think these stand out in the market other than their unique metallic finish, which I'm typically not a fan of. They're just middle of the road. They get the job done. If you like the finish, I think you'll like this, but there are just so many cream blushes that I'm telling you, they don't stand out like the previous two that I mentioned. Working our way over to powders. Now, this is a mixture of bronzer, blush, highlight from Spark Cosmetics, which I believe is Camera Ready Cosmetics house brand. And these are an okay formula. They're a baked formulation, but I found that I liked some shades more than others. But just the texture of this, I think, is a little bit picky with what brushes you apply with it. You definitely need a natural hair brush and something that's more dense. So these are pickier, so I haven't been really inclined to wanting to reach for them. They also require a lot of building up. They leave a really smooth velvety finish to the skin, but for me, not really worth the effort. They're just okay, but in the powder market, I just think powders are so easy to formulate that these, you don't need them. And I feel really bad because they asked my opinion. It was their first soiree into makeup, but I just don't love them. I don't think they're bad, but I don't love them. Next up, I love this. This is from Jouer, and it's a dual blush duo in the most pretty-ish soiree of shades, Violette and Clementine, and these are like spring shades. This has spring written all over it. These are going to be some hot blush colors for the upcoming seasons, and for years I have always loved Jouer blush palettes, or the blush formula. I had a blush palette that I loved from them a lot. So this reignited and reminded me of how much I loved Jouer's powder blush formulation. Don't sleep on them. I think people sleep on Jouer because they're no longer sold at Sephora. I know I did, but there's a reason they had made it to Sephora in the first place. I love their powder blushes. Another powder blush that we have is a super blush from Persona in Bubble, which is a best-selling shade from the brand, and it's that classic baby pink shade, which is more flattering than a lot of other brands were able to create with this style of pink. It's a very trendy shade. At the end of the day, I've decided the shade isn't always the most flattering. It's almost, for me, like a color that you just put in one little spot on the cheek or to soften out the edges of blush. But I think sometimes this in too much of a concentrated area on the cheek can be kind of unflattering. But I love the formula of this, and this color is just useful in certain places. Like, I have all types of blush on my face right now from the demos. There's just so many. But you see how you can just use it as just a little subtle girly pop? I love it. It's so pretty. This is a good little color here. And then also layered on my cheek already. I do love this Dibs Baked Blush Duo in Popstar. Now these are really, really slippery feeling than some other baked formulations that I've tried, so they don't give the most amount of pigment, which I think makes these fantastic for setting cream blushes, because you don't want a blush that has too much creaminess to it. I'm talking about a powder blush with too much creaminess to it, because then it sticks on the face if you're setting a cream blush with it. You want something that's really light and airy and slippery feeling, that's not going to stick to that cream blush and then have too much pigment. So this has been perfect for setting my cream blushes, and it has obviously that baked finish, so it's glowy, almost not quite like a highlighter, but it's a good bridge between a blush and a highlight. So really pretty, has been very useful in my makeup routine. Sad it's exiting my makeup drawers. I've been setting a lot with the RMS Beauty Hydra Setting Powder. I've been using medium. Probably should have used light, but it gets the job done. It's a solid powder. Is it hitting my top 3 rotation of favorite powders ever? No, but it hasn't ruined my makeup. I've grabbed for it since it's been in my makeup drawer, but it's not a groundbreaking powder, but it gets the job done. It does what it says it's gonna do. It blurs, it sets, just not to the degree of my favorites. A couple highlights. So I have, as you can see, I'm finishing up my holiday collection reviews from ColourPop from their adorable Frosty the Snowman collection. They launched this Super Shock highlighter duo. At this point, I don't know if it's available. It's hard to keep track with ColourPop, but I do love the ColourPop Super Shock shadows. So this one came with 2, or Super Shock highlighters, excuse me. Icicle Spree and Winter Wonderland. Winter Wonderland, very white on my skin tone. Something I haven't wanted to reach for a lot. So I've been more so reaching for Icicle Spree. And these are very pretty, but these are both a little bit too white based, which I am not complaining because it is like a snowman collection, but just too white for me, so I haven't wanted to reach for them too much, but I still love the formula. Now this highlighter, oh, it is so good. It is so old in terms of how long it's been around, but Bobbi Brown, they did do a collaboration with Pac-Man. But this is their highlighting powder, which has been in the line for forever. And in this shade, we have Afternoon Glow. Now, if I could have it a touch lighter, which they do have in their line, so no biggie. But if it was a touch lighter, it would be the perfect highlight. This just becomes one with the skin, but has the prettiest glow from the second that this touched my face. And it doesn't have any fallout. You don't pick up too much powder here. It's just a glaze right over. Like, you don't really know if you picked up any powder, but then it just applies to the skin like butter, and it quite simply melts into the makeup. It is gorgeous. Highly recommend this. And in particular, I think this shade is going to be beautiful for light, medium complexions. And then to finish up complexion, I have 2 setting sprays. The first being from NYX, it's the Face Glue Setting Spray. I've got to be honest, I'm failing you on this one. I don't know that this does anything. I've used it a few times. It's harder to tell in the winter because my makeup's not melting off my face. I'm very sweaty normally. I do have dry skin, but I can test the wear of a good foundation or setting spray, for example, in the summer, but the winter gets tough. So I don't really know. One setting spray that I do think helps with longevity, just due to the reputation, is the Urban Decay All Nighter. This is their watermelon fruit extract one. I know this formula works, but this one has added hyaluronic acid, which is great for hydration, which is what I need since I do have dry skin and it's winter time, and it smells like very artificial watermelon. So I really like this, like a lot. So this is the one I would recommend, unfortunately, because this one is cheaper, but you get like more liquid anyways. I'm not gonna lie to you, okay? Surprisingly, no eye products. Gosh, the market just has shifted so much, it's crazy. But I do have a handful of lip products here. So this was a holiday release from Laneige. It's the Lip Sleeping Mask in Eggnog Latte. Disappointingly does not give eggnog latte. It smells good, can't really quite place it. Like, it does smell holiday-y, but eggnog latte, I don't know about. all that. Now, this is not the best lip mask in the world. I don't care. I love the scents that they have in these. I put these all over my house, so I like this. But I have discovered over the years better quality ones. But I think the flavors are fun. Palladio has tried their hand at butter balms, which are like the trendiest products for lips right now, and I think that they did a really good job. I like Palladio because they're very affordable, and a lot of times I think they have some very high quality products. Now these, when I swatched them, I thought they were going to be very pigmented. They swatch very pigmented, but they definitely sheer out a lot on the lips. I love the 3 colors that I have. You can see the undertone of the shades despite them being sheer. So caramel glaze, it does have that brownish tone to it. Strawberry shortcake has a pinky tone. Peaches and cream, not too much of a tone. Just like all of the other butter balms out there. Comparing it to like Summer Fridays, it's a little thinner, a little slicker, but it still does last a long time on the lips. I think these are a really nice, affordable alternative. They're very hydrating as well. They did a good job with these. These lip liners have been in my collection for a bit. I believe they were duping Too Faced for a formula that, to be honest, I wasn't a fan of in the first place. But these are the Makeup Revolution Plumping Lip Liners. Yes, plumping. So Too Faced has one of these too, where you apply them and they burn a little bit because they're plumping. I don't see a plumping thing. I just feel a little bit of a sting. Now, I will say the Too Faced, for me, was pretty painful. This is not painful, but I feel that little bit of a burning sensation. For me, there's no point in it. I don't really tell a difference if I'm being 100% honest with you. And the colors here are very, very warm, especially on the lighter side, which is what I'm reaching for most of the time. Don't love the color range here. They've gotten the job done. They do set down. They have decent longevity, but there's other lip liners I prefer. What's pretty neat is they have a clear one, which I do think helps with longevity. Right now, I was just playing around with some colors that I don't normally wear. I have Espresso Cool Brown, and it is a cool brown shade lining my lips, and it's pretty. But yeah, that's what I have right now. But the rest of the colors, I just haven't loved. Holiday set that I picked up from ColourPop here, from the Frosty the Snowman collection, is the Plumping Gloss Balm Trio, which is a very trendy formula at the moment. And I think, all things considered, ColourPop did a very good job with this formula. Not too different, I noticed, from some higher end counterparts. I think maybe longevity's a bit in the lacking department, but nothing crazy. And this particular set I felt had very pretty colors as well. I've liked these a lot. For me, like, I just don't feel like there's too much of a difference between this and Say Tarte. Right now, I'm wearing the more sheer of the shades. The other two have good pigment from this kit, but this is Frozen. So I have it with that dark brown Revolution lip liner. Then this over top kind of blended in, and you see it adds a nice glow. It's hydrating. I like it. Just longevity is not there fully. Also kind of similar of a style of product, Tarte has all types of finishes here. So I got this Maracuja Juicy Lip Plump in Rosy Copper Shimmer Glass. This is pretty. Actually, I think it would look good over my lip. Hold on. It's very shimmery to the point where it's like kind of metallic looking on the lips, which isn't my personal cup of tea. I think initially that's actually what I meant to put on instead of that ColourPop. I just gravitated towards the ColourPop more. I bought this knowing it would look like this, and then I didn't end up loving it, but that's my own personal problem. Just not my style. I'm putting a little bit more lip liner on. My lips are super hydrated from that ColourPop sitting on there. And take my finger, soften her out. Then, okay, let me show you. You saw the demo, but I just think it's hard to tell without being properly, I guess, styled. So like, yeah, it looks good with a dark lip liner like this. But I haven't really reached for it, to be honest, and that's my own doing. But if you like this kind of super metallic finish, this is fun, especially when I bought it during the winter time. It adds a different element, it adds a different finish, but it hasn't been something I've reached for a lot. Same thing goes for these. So these are two products from the MAC Holiday Collection, which the Holiday Collection was themed around metallic finishes. So this one was fun. You know, I'm celebrating Lunar New Year this weekend. This Regal Red Frost lipstick from that Holiday Collection from MAC. It's a metallic red. I think I'd worn it once. I'll try to wear it again. I love MAC's lipstick formulation. The frost is fun. It's not my cup of tea of a finish, but I think I'll try and wear this because it does have that metallic finish. So if you like it, they did a good job with that, and it's MAC, you can't go wrong. Also from that collection, I have the lip gloss in Galactic Glisten, which it looks pretty online, but it's not flattering on the lips. I look dead. It's this purpley shade with very strong blue reflex in there. It's not cute. I haven't wanted to wear this. It doesn't layer well over other products either. And the formula is nothing to write home about. So the lip products from that collection simply were not my cup of tea. But that completes my 27 speed reviews of products that I've been testing in multiple ways, multiple wears, and with multiple products. And these are going to go back into the general population of my makeup collection as I have completed my thoughts on them. So if you've tried any of these products, do you agree or disagree with me? And I hope if you were looking to purchase some products that this video might have helped you out, led you in the right direction. And I will see you guys later in the next one. Make sure you're subscribed because I test all new makeup all the time on my channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.
It's delicious.